Woo!
It's Friday, baby.
First Friday podcast ever.
Yeah. I guess that's what happens when you're being a good citizen. You know, I went out and saw my cousin's baby. Then I had to play some golf and back things up, but you got to get one out.
I was a terrible citizen this week.
Well, I mean, seeing the baby, that was a good citizen move. The rest of my week, I'd say I was an all right citizen.
I mean, I've been putting in work on my hobbies though. I've been doing so I used to journal every day, you know, like I used to take journals, but then I've pivoted to video diaries now. So every day at the end of the day, I do like a recorded session of how I feel about my day. Because I feel like I just talk better than I write. And I've just been like working through it every day. And that's going to be interesting to have like 365 days of just Brendan talking at a camera.
That's going to be interesting and or terrifying. But I don't want to give up my lovely tool, but it's going to play off of that very well.
Really?
One of my tools.
Well, you know how McConaughey, have you ever read Green Lights?
Yeah, love that book.
Well, he was always like, you got to like you got to keep track of the things that are going well in life as well as the lows. And when I have a journal, dude, I just never know how to like backtrack and like figure out like what the hell is the word for it? The chronicalization of it. It's tough to like go back and be like, what was this day? Like, what was June 16th? But if you do it all video diary, you can like write a caption and be like +, or like talks about relationship with girl or something. You can get like a lot more exact with your translations.
And realistically, you could probably like search through all the, like, especially if it has a transcription, you could probably search up like exactly what topic you talked about.
Well,
also, if you guys might be noticing, new hairstyle. We're working on it, ladies and gentlemen.
I have noticed that. So,
dude, it's the first one since I've been like 15, 16. I did different shortness of variations of what I was rocking before, but this one's completely different.
Yeah, I decided I'm done with hair. I'm just going to wear hats forever now. They're like an accessory, man.
Yeah, that's true. You have a lot of cool hats. Right. Well, before we start talking about, SaaSySesh number 3, Friday edition. So therefore, we are going to have one Corona. And yeah, super excited to jump into it. I know I've got some cool tools. I know you have a cool topic I don't really know that much about, which I'm excited to kind of dive in and have you be the expert and me be pretty much an audience member and just ask questions.
Yeah. So the question at hand is, I'm really going to like work through it as I'm explaining this question, but I'm sure you've seen like AI has been like this theme of replacement of like creative skills or helping people code faster or design things faster, right? Like Adobe released Fireflies, where instead of like having to mask everything in Photoshop and do very strategic placements, you can essentially just highlight an area, generative text to speech, say, I want a UFO abducting a cow in this cornfield, and like, boom, it's done, right? And with coding, you're able to say, I want a landing page that looks blue and gray, and with generative text, it's done. And I think with like my opinion on stuff is I always like to learn creative hobbies or whatnot, right? Like I like to learn how to make music. I'm learning how to video edit right now. And with like generative AI starting to become like a text to speech creation compared to like an actual hands-on deliberation of things, I'm just curious if it's starting to come to the point where it's like, is it worth learning any hard skills anymore? Or should you just wait for like AI to get to the point where you don't have to learn anything? You can just skip the line, right? Like I'm doing things in Premiere Pro that probably took somebody like 2 months to learn of disciplined time, like a year ago. And I learned how to do it in 20 minutes because of new technology, right? And it's like, dude, I didn't pay my dues.
Yeah. I worked with Premiere Pro 10 years ago. I worked with Premiere Pro 10 years ago, and I used to have to the beats of songs when I wanted things to change, I would have to go through and physically press a button, and I'd be like, oh, it was off. And I would have to like adjust things. It was yeah, the beat markers, like that's just a small thing, but definitely automated. Definitely takes zero amounts of skill now.
And you can make markers on everything. Like I said, you can add like a multi-camera edit and automatically have frames cut. So I guess I have a couple questions here. The first one I'm going to ask for you, like, so you put in the time before, learn the skill, and now it's automated. Like, do you feel like that was a waste of time? And you're like, fuck, like, I wish I would have just kind of inherited this environment and started now. Are you happy you learned those skills, even though they're completely redundant now? Or like, I guess if you had to translate learning Premiere Pro, say you did it for the past 10 years and a kid like me just hopped on, is able to do it, took you months and a year to learn, would you be like shooting yourself in the foot, or what would your kind of emotional aptitude be for that?
It's a good question. I think it comes down to what level of skill set you were at with the skills that are being replaced. Like if I was just a novice video editor, which I would say at this point, being not that I haven't practiced in a very long time, I'm not that angry because I feel like the basics have been replaced. But if I was an expert, AI isn't to a point, and I don't think it ever will be to a point that you can get that granular and like that precise. I think no matter what, like think about this. When the internet first started, there were experts. They were the only people to use it. And then Apple came around, made it so everybody in the world could use it. We still have dev guys. We still have experts. Like for us idiots who don't know the internet that well, when we have problems, we have to go to the experts. So if when the internet came out, you were just a novice, like, then yeah, your information is now available to the rest of the world. Your skill set's available to the rest of the world. But if you were an expert, you're irreplaceable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to limit this one to 10 minutes because like I do want to like thoroughly explore this. And I think a lot of the world's like curious about like this conversation specifically from like what I've like just read on forums and such. I just don't know if like there's like the rule of mastery of 10,000 hours. And I feel like that went down to like 1,000 hours to some extent, right? Like the playing field got leveled out to the terms of like creativity still reigns supreme, right? Like if you're not creative, you can't make compelling Photoshop images or compelling videos because you don't have a vision in your head. But there is the fact that like people who are creative but didn't want to put the time in, like myself, like my procrastination seems like it paid off in a way that's like really fortunate for me. But now it's just like a level of like who is the coolest ideas compared to who is the most technical aptitude for a skill, which I think is interesting and I guess a little bit disappointing at the same time.
I think it's disappointing depending on where you are, like what era you're in. For guys like us who are staying on top of information and staying on top of technology, I think it's exciting as hell. Like, yeah, a couple of my skills are now able to be done by the majority of the population, but I only had a couple of skills. Now I can have a trillion skills. Like I can do anything. I could be, an AI copywriter. I could be a video editor. I could be whatever the hell I want to be. But now, like, it really comes down to, I think the barrier to entry is much lower, like we talked about. But the level of expertise is still going to be large. Like the difference between the average person at these skills and an expert is going to be still very significant in my mind.
Yeah. I just don't know if it's going to come down to imagination or not, right? Like I'll give you like two real examples that like I went through for this process, right? Like starting out in the video editing space, there's Premiere Pro and there's DaVinci Resolve. A lot of people are going to DaVinci Resolve, and I was planning on going to DaVinci Resolve. It's like a cool platform that cares about creative, like really involved in like building updates and such. But then like right when I was making that pivot, Premiere Pro launched like Fireflies and the generative AI stuff. And I looked at DaVinci, I was like, there's no way you can ever build this. So
Yeah.
it was like, I'm not going to go learn a tool when somebody else can go in Premiere Pro and do like this hyper select and generate stuff like that. So it's going to be really interesting that some people are going to choose to be disciplined and some people are going to choose to take the easy road like myself. And if that's going to show in like performance or anything like that, like if somebody hand designed a transition that took them an hour versus me typing in like, hey, can you cut this video with the Sam Colder effect, please? And it just does it. Like, are those two the same or not?
I mean, I think if you can do the same thing with AI and you aren't changing, I don't think that anybody's really going to appreciate it unless it's noticeable. It's a really interesting take. I think what we've talked about over and over is like those in the creative space are kind of getting screwed by AI. Whether you're a musician or like an amazing writer or an essay, a very creative essay writer, like,
oh God, creative essay writers.
So low. Well, I mean, like think about like somebody who's writing articles on really specific topics, like searching the web. Now you have an AI that's literally searching the entire web for you in 5 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where like personality will win. And like I said, origination, right? Like if the tools are there for everyone, just the brightest, most creative minds are going to win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that does, like I said, level the playing field to people who are just like really imaginative and have no technical skills versus the person who isn't that creative, but just knows how to do whatever the fuck he wants. Right. And it's kind of like exciting for someone like me where I always just said, like, I want a hard skill that I can use my soft skills of selling to build my business with. Right. Like I don't want to sell to people that I'm good at sales and like do that. That just doesn't sound fun. But if I learned how to video edit and I was capable of it, like now I have like a hard skill to sell to people and use my selling skills as like my unique differentiator in the space. I just think it's like super interesting how the playing field got leveled so fast. And I feel decimated if I was a video editor, spent 10 years learning this software and some kid just got handed this handout of like, hey, just type in what transition you want, what you want this to do. Like I showed you that video where it's like, instead of having to manually color grade and automate a setting, you could just go to Adobe and say, hey, instead of sunny, can you make this nightfall with shooting stars in the background, please?
Yeah. It's nuts, dude. It's absolutely nuts. But
so what's your take?
My overall take, or do you have like a specific question?
Yeah, I guess like to sound off, I guess like, do you think this is like better for like the creative space and more innovative things are going to come? Or do you think a lot of people are going to kind of take this easy road and it's going to be all designed by like an algorithm, right? Like the only way like Sam Colder made his videos because he like self created a lot of things that he couldn't put in a computer, right? I wonder if you can have that anymore, if everyone's going to look like that. And I don't know, how do you stand out in a space where everyone can do the same thing?
See, that's what I think is interesting. I think what we've learned from talking to partners and everybody else is like, even partners who are really affected by the AI space, they say it's not replacing, it's like helping them focus on other things. Like it's a differentiator in itself. It's helping them be competitive against their other competitors because they're able to use the AI. And I think it's going to come down to that. Like, as mentioned, it lowers the barrier to entry, but then I don't have to, if I'm a current video editor, all the stuff that took me hours and hours and hours is now cut down to almost nothing. So I can spend my creative time. If I'm Sam, I don't know what his last name is, but if I built out all those effects, they're all, really easy for anybody else to use. Now I can spend that time that I spent manually doing all these repetitive tasks and build out more creative stuff. So I think like it lowers the barrier to creativity, but those who are extremely creative, it's also going to allow them to have a lot more time to do and be creative. So I guess that's my take.
And my final like sound off on it is like, I think for the people who just love doing what they love to do, like this doesn't really affect you that much. Like if you just love to write books and like that's how you find excitement and passion and inspiration in your life, is just like putting words to a pen, and like that act itself alone gives you like freedom and satisfaction. It doesn't matter what AI writing tools are going to do. Right? If you just love the act of going into a video frame, going through the motions and creating custom fields, and like you just feel good about yourself after that, like AI can't replace that feeling, which is going to be cool for like people like, no matter what song you can make, I still want to go grab my guitar. Even if I could go to AI and say, hey, write a guitar, like it's not the same experience.
Yeah.
I think the part that's going to suck is people who could charge like $20,000 for their expertise. When it becomes a commodity, are going to have to start charging like lower and lower rates, because the playing field is just going to be about like who can do it the fastest, do it the cheapest, and standing out is going to be like really unique. Yeah. They're probably like just like client experience of like, do I like you as a human? Do I want to give you more money than this guy who I never met? And I think that's where people are going to start to win out if everything just becomes copy and paste.
Fair enough. I like to think of this is going to be a really weird simile, but think about, this is like childhood right now when your parents put you in every single sport. You're super duper average at every sport. You're figuring out what you like and what you want to put most of your energy in. And right now, we all have the ability to be really average at everything. The barrier to entry is nothing. But eventually, you're going to have to choose one of those sports and put a lot more time into it and become an expert. And that's going to be your differentiating factor. Because everybody can be average at T-ball. I'm going to leave it at that.
T-ball is what you left off on.
Well, trying to think of other sports might offend people. Not everybody can be average at soccer. There's some people who are really bad at soccer, but if you're bad at T-ball, that's pretty sad. It's not really much skill to T-ball.
All right. Well, thank you for correcting me there.
All right. Well, into tool talk.
Toy talk.
Brendan, what do we have? Do you have fun ones? Do you have cool ones? Usually you have the ones that are like really going to help people, and I have the ones that are like early stage, but just super interesting and weird. So which one of those are you filling?
I have a fun one and a conventional one. Which one
do you want me to have?
First?
So we're kind of like bounce back and forth. You have two.
Yeah.
So I have three. So I'll start.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So I'm not doubling down. Do you want me to share a screen here?
If it's worth it.
Dude, what do you mean? You think my tools aren't worth it? All right. First one I have is AI journaling. So I think that one of the hardest things for me, and like one of the is, I don't know where the hell to start. And I think this is really cool for
right now. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. One, I think it brings down the barrier to entry, but it also like it'll continue to have that conversation with you and like prompt you with questions and things to write about. So you're not sitting there with writer's block. So that's what I think is super cool. Especially, I was thinking of like an out of the box way to use this. I think that like older people and stuff, like I feel like I want to capture their life and like capture it while their minds are super clear. So if I could have an AI just like kind of prompt them to write things out and to like give me stories about their life, that'd be huge. But also it's great for lads like us who are working on like developing our skill set, want to think back at like, you know, where they were 6 months ago, where they want to be. It's going to prompt you with all those questions and build off of itself. What do you think, boy?
So it's actually, I made this tool basically.
Shut up.
So there's this company called Storyworth. You can go type it in a search bar and just see what it's like. Essentially, it's like everyone has a story worth sharing, and it gives you like very strategic prompts to be able to like activate specific memories and like reflect back at like moments in your life. And like it's all about like you write a certain amount of passages, and then I'll collect them, integrate it, and create a book about it that you can have for the rest of your life. It's super cool.
Wait, how do you know about this? Does everybody know about this?
I get personal ads for it. But I've been journaling for like, I mean, I have like 55 notebooks all filled with like just pages and pages and pages of journals all over my house.
Yeah.
But I took this website, I dropped it into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, I want to do something similar to this. Can you give me like 60 days worth of prompts to write my life story based off of? And it just gave me 60 prompts for the next 60 days. And I've been going through them and writing like individual essays every single day. So it's pretty unique. You can like look at these cool things that are more like text-based and just translate the idea to ChatGPT and build out your own custom situations for it. As long as you have like the core
that's
idea.
what I think is way cooler. I mean, one, I think this app's obviously awesome, but I think it's cool that you saw this and you're like, dude, I'm not paying for this. Make me this.
Exactly. I think that's super
cool, man.
But,
I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like start at like early childhood, navigate me through grade school, middle school, high school, college. These were some key events in my life that happened in these situations. So make sure you like ask strategic questions on those points, like moving to Florida, like this passing of a family member, and like make it a narrative that like is progressional, right?
Is the goal of this to have a book? Like have like not a memoir. I guess, would it be a memoir?
I don't think like I'm that pretentious for wanting to like write a book about Van Ankle and publish it. It was more just like.
No, I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be published, but like a book for yourself.
I don't mean to hijack this conversation. I just think that's like cool for like the audience to think about. Like when you look at stuff nowadays, you could see like, okay, what is this company offering? And if a company is just offering like an experience, you can kind of create any experience through text, through ChatGPT in a personalized fashion for free.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice. Well, I definitely want to hear more about this later, but what's your tool?
Was that it? Did I totally ruin the tool? Did I steal their thunder?
No, I think that, I mean, you found what sounds like a better, I think that I took the tools journaling and made it into more of like a storytelling, but I think this tool might be more so not like chronological, but more just like working with you to work through like whatever challenges you're having, lower the barrier to start journaling, and get rid of writer's block. So more of like a daily user, whereas this one seems like it's more so like for anybody who's like trying to reflect and get like a long period of time all in a chronological order.
Sweet, man. Well, I'm stoked about this tool. I've already started using this tool. I think like something about me that not a lot of people know is like I'm super obsessed with like interior design. Like I like love just like, dude, it's like so many of my Instagram accounts I follow. So many of like, I look at rooms and I'm like, oh
your
my gosh,
place is great. Your place is well designed.
Look at movie sets. I look at all this stuff and I'm like, man, I just don't know what to buy. Like, I don't know how to fill space.
Yeah.
And this app essentially allows you to kind of take a picture of your room. You can say what type of room you're in. You can say kind of how you want it to like transform the room, right? Like in this example, it's obviously heavy intervention. You're seeing like stone walls, stone ceilings. Like that's a lot of work. You can make it a lot simpler than that. Colors, room, mix, and then kind of like the style you want of it. And it'll kind of create like a relationship with like the environment you have in your house and like what you can do to fill it. So, I mean, like I was taking pictures of like my living room, uploading it and just seeing like, okay, like what are some pockets of space that I'm not leveraging and how could I leverage it better? And I thought that was just like, it's super cool to kind of have like a co-pilot in the design process when you're trying to figure out like how to
cool. Could I be like, hey, I want to lighten up this space, like give me some ideas?
Like minimalistic style, like take stuff out of a room?
Well, just say like, hey, this room seems like pretty dark. What could I do to make this feel lighter, larger, whatever the use case is. Because I feel like that's everybody, at least for me, like I want everything to feel big and light. I feel like my house right now is great.
I mean, I think contemporary might be light. I mean, mid-century modern, maybe a little bit of Japanese design could brighten up a room.
I would love Japanese design. What I think would be cool, like, I don't know if this is already integrated, but imagine if this had like an e-commerce portion of it. So you could connect IKEA or, Ashley Furniture, and it'd be like, okay, like, you like this? Buy it. Like, make it happen right here, right now. Because, like, seeing this couch, like, oh, it's a great idea. But I don't know. Like, now I have to go and find this couch. Now this is in my mind. It's causing me, like, more issues. Because I'm going to look at every other couch. I'm going to say, that doesn't look like the couch in the photo.
Yeah. And plus, you didn't know, like, how to describe some of this. That'd be amazing. Because, like, if I wanted this desk, I don't know how to even, like, what is that desk called? Give me a teal floor standard. Exactly. Like, how do you explain
that? Would be fine. Like, yeah, if it gave you like some way of finding that product. And I feel like this company, if this was dominant in the space, like, they could make money off of that. Like, take a portion of whatever sales, like an affiliate.
I mean, that's such a good idea. Homedesigns.ai is the website name. It's always interesting when I hear stuff like that, though. I'm like, what's more efficient, to do that route and integrate with tools, or just go to like Ashley's or whatever, like a big home designer, and be like, hey, do you want to buy our technology?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the route it'll end up going, because there's probably a decent amount of tools in this space. But if you're one dominant one, that could be a massive way to differentiate yourself.
Well, home design.
This is how my brain works. I look at something and I'm like, how do I monetize on this?
Yeah,
how do we take
I don't think that way.
Well, that's why we work well together. This one, now we're into the not super productive, but pretty cool.
Okay.
So I went to Europe. I got these checkered pants. I don't know what to match with these checkered pants. I don't know how to put together an outfit. I'm colorblind. So, Fashion Advisor AI will tell me how to do that. It will, let me pull this puppy up. Whew. You kind of write, it's early stage, but you can write in exactly like what goes with what. Like, oh, I've got gray checkered pants. What should I wear on top? What should I put my shoes in? This added a little, picture concept. How cool would that be? Imagine if I took a picture of every single thing in my closet, kind of did it on like a white background, and then it just mismatched. Because I feel like I don't know about you. You have a lot more style in the clothes department. But I end up wearing the same like 5 things with the same 5 things. But imagine if I
have an important question that probably everyone in the audience is literally thinking right now.
Yes.
So you're colorblind. You go to this and you say, what color shirt should I wear with gray pants? It says blue. How do you know what to fucking do with that information?
It's a great question. I get this question actually a lot. So the best way I like to describe colorblindness is I didn't see colors and then not see colors. Like, from day one, I was just told that blue was blue. So I know how to pick blue out of my closet, but my blue probably looks way different than your blue.
Isn't that funny how that can be the case for like anybody though?
I think it's super weird, especially with like the AI. We're going way off track, but I think this is a cool concept. That's what we do. I think that especially with the colorblind glasses, there's so many people who like have no idea what the rest of the world sees. My argument is I think that everybody could be seeing a little bit different, but I'm a colorblind guy, so trying to make things in my favor. But like people put on the colorblind glasses, they're like, holy shit, like this is what the world looks like. Because there's people who are actually, I'm red-green colorblind. There's people who are like full-on colorblind. Like red-green, and I don't know what the other two are, but
let's do a live experiment here. Let's see, what can I say? Be like, you're
gonna say like grass. I'm gonna say green because I was told the grass is green.
I'm talking about
the
your
story I'm
fucking
gonna
tool.
tell you.
Talking about your fucking tool. What can we ask it to do? What kind of outfit can we compile?
I'm gonna ask it exactly. I have gray checkered pants. What do I wear on top?
A shirt.
Yeah, we'll see how developed this tool is. It's thinking for a long time.
It's about as
but
long as
I have an uncle who
honestly,
literally. What'd you say?
I said it's thinking for a long time, but you have to be able to be smart enough to assess, is this how long you would be thinking? Could you have solved this question faster than the AI bot?
That's a good question. I mean, if this works, I'm a concept guy. So I'm thinking of the concept here. I'm thinking about specifically my Uncle Billy, who hired a fashion designer once he got a new job. He was like, I'm going to be publicly facing. Like, I need to look good. And his family's like, dude, you have nothing to look good. So now he has he's a hired lad that goes and shops for him and puts together outfits. Imagine if you didn't have to hire that lad.
Let's see. This
thing's pondering for far too long. Another example of why this tool is probably not built out enough. But here we are. These are the Jason tools.
You got one more, right?
Brendan.
Yes.
I have Uno Mas. Do you have Uno Mas?
I do. I'm trying to figure out, did we talk about role model in the last call?
We did super briefly, but didn't open up the website or anything. You just talked about your sales call with them.
Well, audience might have an option to get involved with them pretty soon.
Ooh. So, also, your video is off right now. I don't know if that's...
I don't think it's off. I see it. So it's recording at least because it's...
Cool.
Doesn't matter if you see it or not.
I don't even want to see you anyways.
Role model AI. This is the craziest company ever, man. So background for the audience. When I took the call with this guy, it was a Zoom call. It was a sales call. And the founder showed up. I found out it was, in fact, the founder as a digital avatar.
It was?
Yeah.
Nice.
So this company essentially allows you to make avatars to automate business functions, whether it's graphic designers, creating music, creating marketing strategies. He's essentially trying to make Fortnite for a business where you can kind of create these interactions, characters, do all these different facets, right? I mean, you look at it and you see like the everything game and you have no idea this applies to business. And then they literally have an enterprise option, right? And these are just all these fucking tools that are coming, and you can literally just create a simulated world that your company exists through avatar creation that interact with each other, foster off each other.
That's the coolest part, I think, is the interaction with each other. Because I think like there's been like avatar worlds and like virtual, like especially when with tools that like specialize in like hybrid collaboration. They have avatar worlds, but the avatars aren't thinking for themselves. They aren't able to specialize in any specific job. So I think that's like what's super badass about this product.
I think it's crazy that that's like a portion of it, but then this is also it, like AI generated gaming, where you can just give it a prompt, create a video game. like I don't know. how people are going to like experience this tool. Like there is so much different vocabulary going on in every direction of like how you should perceive and understand what this tool could do.
Yeah.
But I think this is like eventually going to be like the next level of just what the world's existing through is like, dude, I don't want this one to be too long, but there's a really good question I want to talk about. I'll ask like a teaser of it, then we can explore this in the next episode. But going off this company, I was listening to a podcast and someone's like, what's your biggest fear of AI? And he's like, it's not about like people replacing jobs. It's not about like us losing our ability to critical think or anything. He's like, my biggest fear with AI is how easy it's going to be to have any type of entertainment you want as disposable as you want it, to the point like, why would you ever exist in the real world anymore? Like if you can just go into a game like this, create anything you want at any time, watch any movie you want to watch, and it's just like spun up for you, play any game you want to watch because you just type in what you want as a prompt. It's like, what reasons do you have to like go exist anymore? And I'm like, that's a super interesting question of like not being scared like AI is going to replace us, but that we're not going to want to do anything besides use AI.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to dive into it too much, but Ready Player One movie exactly about that. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Audience, if you haven't seen it, also watch it. Super good. Last thing I have.
Take us home.
Kind of similar. Your tool a couple weeks ago was like you could talk to and have a text conversation with any famous person, actor, whatnot. I think what's cool about this one is they are able to change your voice live. So imagine I'm on a sales call. I have a really scratchy voice. I could completely change it and nobody would know. Or for, teenagers who are trying to call their friend and mess with them and act like they're the father or have a deep voice, could do that. Or you could be a famous person like that. It has so much potential for real life use, to be helpful, also to create like video games and stuff like that. But like my mind immediately went to that website that's like, you kick my dog. You kick my dog. And like you have like all these individual prompts and you like prank call people and mess with them. Like that's exactly where my mind went with this.
It's so funny because you can tell that like you're just not a gamer in any sense of the word, because like that is like an implication, but I can just tell from this, like this guy who made voice mod probably has like some background in like playing Dungeons and Dragons or something with his friends, and like I see all the different things you can do here. I bet it's more like imaginative to let you like be the fictional person you want to be. Like you're playing Warcraft with your friends and you in your reality want to be like a fictional elf. So you change your voice to an elf so you can like identify as an elf and sound like an elf.
That's one way of using it. That's a great way to use it. But me as a lad who didn't have video games growing up, my mind goes through how can I mess with other humans with it? And how can I use it in my day-to-day life to help me when I'm sick? Different thoughts here, ladies and gentlemen. That are all my tools. That's what I have for you. Last session, I have nothing. Ooh, that's a good question.
If you could like hop on a sales call and sound like anyone, who would you sound like? And you can't pick me.
Thank you. Who would I pick? It's actually, Wow. I mean, maybe like Bradley Cooper.
Nice.
I feel like that'd be a sick voice. Denzel Washington would be pretty cool. Like imagine me with a Denzel Washington voice. Or Obama. Obama's got a distinct cool voice.
Obama.
Like imagine. I mean, he's got such a good voice. He made it on Animal Planet. Like what president do we have that is a narrator on Animal Planet after the fact other than Obama? Nobody.
Yeah.
Whose voice
I
would
have
you
a
choose?
favorite. I mean, like, I don't want to be like offensive or say something that's going to get us canceled, but my favorite voice, if I was on like a sales call, honestly, would probably be like Lana Del Rey. I think that girl is just the peak of like like a sassy,
What?
seductive like woman. I swear to God, dude, Lana Del Rey talking on stage is crazy. And I think that
How
could get you a lot of business as a sales guy. For probably
You
the round
think? You think your face would match up well with her voice?
I'm talking like cold calling or something.
Oof. Okay. Yeah, then I think that would be cool if you were cold calling. But I thought it was like sales call, your face, her voice, no
But
word.
wildly inappropriate. As a guy, I don't know. I think I like fucking who's his name? Jack Nicholson. It's kind of like scratchy.
I did.
Sounds like he's smoked a bunch of cigarettes. I want to sound like I've lived a lot of life. So then you listen to me. Hey, buddy, let me tell you about Absumo. There you go.
I don't know if I'd like that. I feel like he sounds like he's like, I mean, he does sound pretty badass, but I don't know
He
if that
sounds
would
like
be
somebody
good
you
for the
have to
old
listen to
sales call.
because he did every single sin in the book, and you're like, okay, I respect this guy because he's probably seen some shit, went through some shit, and he has no reason to bullshit me. You know, that's like old grandpa scratchy chain smoker voices.
Sure. Him and The Departed, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Do you have anything else for us, Brendan? Or are we?
I mean, I think that was a fun send-off question. We did a lot of layers to this one, a couple different tangents. Do you have any? I guess, how did you use AI this week, Jay?
I don't think I tried anything that new other than we'll see if this fashion AI is going to help me out tonight. Nothing too crazy in my day-to-day life. I've just been kind of mastering and retraining the bots I have right now to help me with work.
You just set me up for something I can't say.
Used it.
Diving in Premiere Pro a ton. I want to give a shout out to Autopod, Unreal Tool. You're probably going to see this content coming to a TikTok and Instagram reel near you in the near future. And I'm going to owe it all to Autopod. Or if I can't figure it out and I'm too much of a stupid degenerate, it's going to be thanks to Opus Clip. So those are my AI shout out for the week.
Rock and roll. All right. Have a fantastic weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Deuces and mimosas.
Ciao.